Welcome to another weekly horror news video, guys. We got a lot to get to today, so with that said, let's jump right into it. We might be seeing a new George Romero zombie film in the near future. He has just finished a script for a new film based on a book called The Zombie Autopsies. So yeah, he's just finished this screenplay up. He got it approved by the writer of the book. Then George sent it to his manager or whatever, or his agent, and they sent it out into all the different studios trying to get funding for it. So if it works out, then I guess George will be back directing another zombie film. He goes on to say in the interview that he really hopes that the Zombie Autopsies is his next project. So George Romero. He's created some of the greatest zombie films of all time, obviously, three of the best at least. Um, I'm always going to be interested in hearing that he's going to be doing another zombie film. The last few have not been too great at all. But like I said, I gotta be interested if I hear George Romero and zombie together in the same sentence. Next up is a rumor for a Jaws remake, and this really doesn't seem too legit to me, so I wouldn't, fully believe a Jaws remake is happening until you see some more concrete evidence. But there's a website called Mandy.com, and this site is used as a resource for TV and film productions. To reach out to people, try to get people interested, and hire people. There was a post that said, "We are currently seeking all crew positions for the upcoming Jaws reboot," and it goes on to say something about starting pre-production or something. I'll leave the article below, you can check it out yourself, but I just found it kind of weird that it doesn't really seem too legit to me. And the idea of remaking Jaws is just kind of really silly now. Really what you're doing is, I know a lot of remakes are simply just remaking with the name to bank on the name. But that's really what you're doing with a Jaws remake, because how many times has this story been done and ripped off? So there's really no point. You could just make another shark movie and call it something else. Because it's going to be the same anyway. We now have the official list of all the people participating in the upcoming ABCs of Death 2. There's a lot of people I'm not familiar with, but there are a few I am familiar with. The ones that I've noticed are the guy who directed The Collection, the guy who made Cube and Splice, the people who made Inside, the Soska sisters, of course, who I mentioned last week. They directed Dead Hooker in a Trunk, American Mary. They're going to be directing the upcoming See No Evil 2. And yeah, so if you're interested in checking out the list, see if you're familiar with any of these people involved, check the link in the description below. It has the full list. So yeah, ABCs of Death. I've still not seen the first film, but I love the concept behind it. I love anthologies, first of all, and then 26 films, 26 letters in the alphabet, 26 directors. It's just really a neat idea, and it seems like you could do so many things, and it seems like you can make so many sequels to this because how awesome the concept is. So looking forward to actually getting around and check out the first one. And I've heard mixed things. I've heard some segments are bad, some are fun and awesome, which is 26 segments. I would expect that. So, yeah, looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to the sequel because I know I'll at least enjoy a few segments out of the first film. Filmmaker David Bruckner will soon begin work on his next film. David Bruckner was the guy who directed the segment in VHS called Amateur Night, which was personally my favorite segment, and I know a lot of other people's favorite as well. The new film that he's going to be directing is called Intrusion. It seems a little bit more like a thriller, but it follows a woman as she's being stalked, and the assaults and craziness escalates. Then she finds out there might be a little bit more to all this. Sounds kind of interesting just from the basic plot that we're given, but I really liked Amateur Night, so looking forward to seeing what this guy comes up with down the road. It begins filming later this year. Next up, we have a little bit of an update on the Suspiria remake, the long talked about Suspiria remake, and David Gordon Green, who was the director of Pineapple Express, was interviewed in a magazine, and they asked him about the Suspiria remake, and he says he he isn't sure if it'll ever happen, because he has a very he goes on to say how he has a very specific vision for it, and he you know, really wants to stay true to the original and keep it classy, and he has it all planned out in his head. But the studios just aren't interested in the vision that he has, at least at this point. He says that the vision that he has would cost too much to, you know, do it on his own or whatever. But he seems really excited about just talking about the idea of, you know, him possibly remaking the film. So um, I'm not really sure, you know, if it'll ever happen, and I really, you know, it's not something that I really care too much about, but it does sound like the director has, you know, the right mindset for remaking this film. It seems like he's very passionate about it. So yeah, Suspiria remake probably won't happen anytime soon, at least from based on that interview. I've never seen the original film, but I do own it thanks to Moods. Shout out to Moods real quick. Thanks for hooking me up with that, dude. And yeah, I plan on watching it very soon. You know, I might save it for my 31 days of horror in October, which I'm probably gonna do again. Next up, we have a possible release date for the film 7500, which is being created by the guy who made like all the Grudge films almost. He's an Asian dude. I don't really want to mess up his name, so check the link below. But Scout Taylor Compton, who is going to be in the film, tweeted out that the film is going to be hitting theaters in October. So, according to her, this film should be released pretty soon. A while back, I made a video talking about the possibility of a From Dusk Till Dawn TV series. At the time, I think it was just kind of a rumor, but I guess that's officially happening. I believe they start production in Austin, Texas, this October, like mid-October. So I guess they're really moving ahead with it. They said that they want to have it done and out by the end of the year. So From Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series, is happening, much like every other horror franchise is getting its own TV series. From Dusk Till Dawn is also. I remember a while back hearing that Robert Rodriguez might be involved in some way, but with this news that just came out, I didn't see anything dealing with his name at all. So not sure if he's going to still be involved, or if he ever was, or what's the deal with that. We have some details on a new film called The Lock, being written and directed by a couple of the guys who worked on The Woman in Black. The Lock is like a Loch Ness Monster story. Probably sure to be some CGI. We follow a man who is near bankruptcy and is spiraling out of control. He decides to take his family on a false vacation to Scotland, where he plans to murder them, and upon doing that, they run into the Loch Ness Monster. So if you're interested in reading a bit more about the story, check the link below. Filmmaker Eric Red, who has written films like Near Dark and The Hitcher, which are great horror films from the 80s, two of my personal favorites. He's going to be directing a new film called Dead of Night, and this film is based off of a novel. Check the link below for a description of the novel. It actually sounds like some sort of an original idea. It could be pretty cool. We have a new found footage horror film coming out, and it's called Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch will be released both theatrically and on video on demand October 30th. Probably not a huge release theatrically, probably be very limited, but you can check that out. The film sounds like a typical found footage alien style movie. You have a group of researchers, a team sent in to, you know, mess around and see what's up with this mysterious area located in northeast Utah called the Skinwalker Ranch, supposedly based on true events and stuff. Director Joseph Kosinski, the director who just finished that Oblivion film, is in talks to direct the upcoming reboot of the Twilight Zone. From what I'm hearing, it seems to where they're going to be like just dropping the whole anthology episodic format, and it's just going to be a storyline based off of one of the stories from the original series, or multiple of the stories, but it's going to be like one continuous storyline. So that's kind of weird that they're going to do that. But I don't know. I think I'd rather see another like anthology style with a few different directors. It looks like they're going with one director, you know, one story, and that's going to be your Twilight Zone movie. So no word when that's happening. Richard Shepard is going to be directing a TV series for WGN, and it's going to be called Salem. This is going to be based on the Salem witch trials in 17th century Massachusetts, which I think could be a cool idea. You know, the Salem witch trials, and you know, a TV series based on that. Seems like there's a lot of places to take it. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. It's going to be filming, you know, starting production in the fall, and it's going to try to be released sometime 2014. 13 episodes is the first season. Next up, we got a few announcements from IFC Films. First up, Plus One is a film directed by the Last House on the Left remake guy, and it's going to be released video on demand September 20th. Second, we have a film called Dark Touch, and this is going to be released September 27th. And finally, after that, we have Dario Argento's Dracula 3D, which is now just being called Dario Argento's Dracula, will be released October 4th. This one will be released on video on demand, cable, and in select theaters. Also, I'm going to link you guys to a bunch of never before seen footage to the Night Flyer film. This is new stuff discovered. It's really just a bunch of behind the scenes stuff, but it is like an hour and some minutes long, so it's kind of interesting. I like the Night Flyer film a lot. I wish it would get a you know, re-release because it's out of print, or a Blu-ray release. It really is a cool, interesting vampire film. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. For DVD and Blu-ray releases this week, we really don't have much, but what we do have is Fox is releasing 3 classic horror sci-fi films on Blu-ray. First up, we have The Fly, the original Fly film. This is going to be released September 10th. The second film being released is called Fantastic Voyage, and this film is going to be released October 8th. And then third, we have Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, which will also be released October 8th. So we have these 3 classic horror sci-fi films being released, all with, I believe, new special features, or at least some special features. So check the link in the description if you're interested in what they're coming with, because there are a few. And yeah, I'll probably definitely grab The Fly eventually, because I've always wanted to, you know, visit the original Fly. I like the remake a lot. I think it's one of the best remakes out there. And finally, for the DVDs today, we have Scream Factory revealing 2 new cover arts for upcoming releases. First up, we have Saturn 3. Saturn 3 will be released in December of 2013. And the second cover art reveal is Darkman, Sam Raimi's Darkman. That film will also be released in December 2013. For trailers this week, we don't have many. We have Dolph Lundgren's Battle of the Damned, which this is a zombie apocalypse Dolph Lundgren movie with robots with machine guns and stuff. You know, look, it looks about what it sounds like, but you know, it might be worth a watch as like a time waster. If it ends up on Netflix or something, I may give it a chance. After that, we have a Weinstein Company film, and this is called The Vampire Academy. Right off the bat, you kind of get that Twilight-y vibe, you know, because it's based off of a best-selling book, and, you know, it's called The Vampire Academy, which it's about, you know, a exclusive private school where everybody's like vampires or something. But, you know, it actually doesn't really look like Twilight-y. It actually doesn't look too bad. I thought the trailer was put together decently. But the thing is, these really aren't my kind of movies, because it's, like, kind of looks more of action horror than actual horror. And I always really never liked the action and horror genre, like, crossing paths too much. It works in some films like Blade, but I just don't care for it too much. That's why I prefer Alien over Aliens, and much more like the horror film. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't look completely bad or anything. I thought it was put together well, but just really not my thing. And You can judge it for yourself. Check out the trailer below. The final trailer is called Amnesic, and this trailer, I really don't know what the hell's going on in it. Just craziness, very weird. I seriously don't know what it's about, so you can check the trailer, judge it for yourself. It looks very weird. That about wraps it up for this week's news, guys, and leave me some comments. I love reading the comments. They make these long videos worth it. You know, sometimes it takes me a little while to respond to them, but I always read them, and I usually always respond to them once I get the time to. Second, I know a lot of people have been finding my channel through these videos, so if you're new here, would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. And third, definitely check out the devilseyes.com. A new Rabbit in Red just went up. I've not listened to it yet, but I plan to very soon. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next week. Peace.